was really amazed to see how Lucy really learned the concept and power of leverage. She really began to understand what her time was worth. And that meant she immediately hired a coordinator to handle the busy work. For her to let go of those things and understand what her time was worth was game-changing.
Today, we're joined by Gabe and Lucy Knox.
Gabe brings deep experience in acquiring and managing rental properties, as well as building technology to improve operations in the space. Lucy has spent nearly 2 decades in real estate, beginning in leasing and institutional support before founding Flora Vista Realty.
Once Lucy's brokerage really started to thrive, I was able to go to work for a tech startup. In the beginning, I was making no money. And if it wasn't for Lucy doing what she was doing and providing that stability, I never would have been able to take that risk. So with any professional couple, if one can allow the other to do more entrepreneurial things, that can be such a great opportunity and magic.
It's the power of encouragement, like encouraging your spouse to do more or thinking outside the box. So it certainly helps when it's two people thinking for each other.
Many couples, that seems terrifying to hold your spouse's hand and pray out loud together. But if you can do that, if you can get over that initial awkwardness, man, it really ramps up the intimacy in your relationship. No doubt about it.
Today, we're joined by Gabe and Lucy Knox, a couple we've had the privilege of knowing for more than a decade through both work and friendship. We first met Gabe while working together in the institutional SFR space at McKinley Partners, where he was our market manager, and later at 643 Capital, where he served as our VP of Business Development. We met Lucy during her time as a leasing agent dedicated to our team through RPM, which fittingly is also how Gabe and Lucy first met. Since then, what started as a professional relationship has grown into a genuine friendship, and we've loved getting our families together over the years.
Gabe brings deep experience in acquiring and managing rental properties at institutional scale, as well as building technology to improve operations in the space. That experience ultimately led him to co-found Hawk Hill Property Services, a company serving multifamily and single-family owners and portfolio managers across the Sun Belt with plumbing, HVAC, maintenance, renovations, and more. Lucy has spent nearly 2 decades in real estate, beginning in leasing and institutional support before founding Flora Vista Realty. Today, she serves owners and families across the Dallas-Fort Worth market with acquisitions, dispositions, and residential brokerage services, and has built a reputation for being knowledgeable, steady, responsive, and deeply committed to the people she serves. We're so excited to have you guys here today and excited to have this conversation.
Great to be here. Thanks, Roberto and Adriana.
That was quite the introduction. Thanks for having us.
Well, you're our first. Yeah, thank you guys both for coming. You're our first official guest on Built Together, and we definitely thought of you guys first because of the tie into SFR and the fact that that's how you guys first met and how we first met you and Gabe and Lucy. And so why don't you tell us a little bit about how you guys met and a little bit about your backgrounds?
Sure. How about we start with how we met, which I think is kind of an interesting story, like me and Adriana and Roberto. So post GFC, I was in Northern Nevada. There was very little work for real estate and engineers. And so I took a job that led me to San Francisco, and I started working with Adriana and Roberto. And it was very interesting. I started on purely the acquisition side of the business, and I was the let's buy everything, and Adriana was the guardrails. And it's so funny how we really butted heads almost daily as I pushed to buy stuff and she tried to keep me from getting in trouble. And what started out as almost a contentious relationship has really blossomed into much of a friendship. And Roberto, he showed me the ropes. He taught me how to underwrite. He taught me the acquisition process. I mean, just about everything about SFR that I know, I learned directly from Roberto, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I remember those days. There wasn't a day that we didn't go by that Adriana was like, man, that Gabe, I tell you, he wants to buy everything under the sun. I'm like, well, we should be buying everything under the sun, but she was our control point, much like she is for me now today. But yeah, it's been an amazing journey since then.
Yeah, it's a damn shame we passed on so many of those 7.9 caps when we've needed an 8 cap in
Right?
2012.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, so I guess just moving on from your question or moving forward with your question about how we met. So after about a year stint in San Francisco working with Adriana and Roberto, our company finally got more institutional grade capital and they wanted to go to a market in the Sun Belt and start a new operation. And so I think Adriana and Roberto did their very best to try to recruit and hire somebody in DFW to launch that market. And for some reason, they weren't that successful. And I volunteered. I said, I'll do it. I'll do it. And Adriana was like, is there anybody else who wants to go to Dallas? And we're like, oh no, I guess it's Gabe. So I loaded up my trailer and I moved to DFW. So shortly after moving to DFW, once we got into the swing of things as far as buying, renovating, and leasing homes, the leasing company that we were partnered with invited me to lunch. And it was at a local restaurant here in DFW. And there probably was 12 people at the table. And they had a seat for me at the end of the table, all ready for me to sit down. And I walked up and I saw this beautiful girl sitting in the middle of the table. And I said, no, I don't want to sit there. I'm going to just sit here. I'll be more comfortable here. And I sat right across from her. And that made Lucy a little uncomfortable right from the beginning. And I spent a lot of my focus and energy trying to get to her attention during that meeting. And afterwards, I sent her an email with the question I already knew the answer to. And she responded back, and I responded back with, hey, we should go to lunch. And a couple days later, we set a lunch date. She showed up with clipboard in hand, ready to take notes. And I said, Lucy, I got to tell you, I wanted you to come join me for lunch for other than just professional purposes. And she said, okay. And Lucy, I'll let you take it from there.
I was like on Match.com at this time, right? So I really was like in the dating scene or trying to get in the dating scene. And as soon as he said this was more of a casual personal lunch, I dropped my clipboard and I start with, my series of questions. How old are you? Have you been married? Do you have kids? And everything was like 35, no kids, never married. And at that point, I'm like, well, what's wrong with you? Right. And so, I don't know, we stepped out. We agreed to have dinner Friday night, right? And I almost did not drive to your place Friday night because I just was like overthinking it. But I did because, we work together, right? Like I work for you. So it'd be weird to like stand you up or change of plans. But so I drive to your place as nervous as I am. And we had a great dinner. And then I saw you back Saturday, and then we were dating, like without like a formal be my girlfriend kind of thing. It just, we were in sync and we never stopped seeing each other.
And at
When
what point did he cook for you?
yeah, I think that was like weekend 2 or 3.
Yeah, we were just
Right.
talking about the fried fish and the barbecues that we enjoy having at your guys' house, and so I could imagine that's one of the things that he used to lure you in.
Definitely how he's earning his keep, keeping me around with his cooking. Because when he leaves town, we're like, what? How are we going to survive?
Yeah,
So, yeah. And then soon after that, I mean, you moved to Houston, you moved to Chicago, right?
yeah. Gabe had the backpack on at all times and was our market launcher everywhere we went. He knew the game plan and knew what we needed. And so as we opened up, probably you went to Miami as well. Open
Yeah.
that up. I mean, man, there was a series of 7, 8 different markets after that you were our guy.
No, I was just gonna say you guys kept the relationship going just long distance while you were kind of traveling around for us.
Yeah, it was semi long distance. I never let more than a couple weeks pass where I wasn't flying back or flying Lucy out to see me. And it was actually really cool because she got to go see new cities and experience them with me. I mean, we had a great time in Chicago together. We spent almost a whole summer going back and forth with each other in Chicago, and it was fun. It was really exciting. And it's interesting from an SFR standpoint. We were in DFW and we're buying what I thought were these like amazing houses, the typical 3-2 Texas ranch, and we're buying them for like under $100,000.
Yep.
And then I got the news that, hey, we want to go launch Houston. And I'm like, you guys are crazy. This is SFR paradise. We need to buy everything here and that's it. And the investment board said, no, we need to go to Houston. And so then we're buying okay stuff. I still thought, all right, this works. And then they said, we need to go to Chicago and we need to be buying in Chicago. And I thought, you guys are crazy. Why would we stop buying this stuff in these markets that are growing and go up to Chicago and buy what I thought was much more challenging assets, both from a renovation but an operations standpoint. And then Miami, which was even more different. But yeah, it's funny how the appetite for the assets kind of changed through those several years as we started to figure this industry out.
Yeah, and much like the seasons vary in those markets, right? The seasons of our relationships and and you guys navigating the relationship obviously had some challenges and some areas of growth as you went. And so along the way, as you were opening up new markets and you and Lucy were staying tied together. How did your professional world work together, and how did you guys start to continue to grow and build that relationship over the years?
In DFW, as we ramped up our acquisitions, we realized that we weren't represented, like the fund didn't have a real estate agent. We were relying on a network of real estate agents to source our deals, and we weren't even extracting any commissions to bring back to the fund. And I told Lucy, I'm like, you need to get your broker's license. That way we can set you up as a vehicle to bring real estate commissions back into the fund. And that was kind of the start of it. Lucy then moved from leasing to becoming a broker. And then she was the broker for our SFR entity. And then we started being able to pay referral commissions back to the fund. And I think that was what really started moving Lucy from being a leasing agent to the powerhouse that she's become now. And Lucy, maybe you have some more thoughts there?
Yeah, I want to laugh just because when we were dating, you're like, so do you have your broker's license? Because you should. And then that was what inspired me to, get my broker's license. So I became a broker in 2014. I was still working as a leasing agent and ramping up residential sales organically. But after we're married, right, I look back and I like think about how smart of a man you are. I'm like, man, he set me up in a good way, right? Like in a great way, like because I wasn't thinking that big.
Mm. Yeah, no, I have had plenty of instances where I've told Adriana, hey, you should do this, you should do that. And the ones that she's listened to have always hit, and the ones that she hasn't have always been for a reason as well. And in hindsight, I'm always like, okay, yeah, she was probably right on that. But, as a couple together, being able to feed off each other and provide each other and build, have the foresight of saying, hey, let's put these pieces of the puzzle in front of us. Because there's opportunity that we could take advantage of in the future. And as you look at what you're doing now today, Lucy, with your brokerage and your ability to help others and serve others in getting people into homes and selling their homes and navigating that next step, one little decision, it can mean a lot.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, it's the power of encouragement, right? Like encouraging your spouse to do more or thinking outside the box. It certainly helps when it's two people thinking for each other.
Yeah, I'll expand on that. And so that was just the starting point. So once she became the broker, then the business started to change where we were doing more acquisitions and dispositions. And then Lucy started representing the fund directly in the dispositions and soon representing other funds in the dispositions. And life was good then. We were making a really good living or Lucy was rather, in like helping these funds call their portfolios. And at the time, we kind of recognized that, hey, this SFR business is very fickle and it's changing quickly, and we need to think about what would be next. Like, how do we grow this brokerage and Lucy's toolbox to be able to be ready for the next big thing? And that's when I encouraged Lucy to join a retail brokerage. And maybe Lucy, you want to pick that up because it really was a great experience.
Certainly. I mean, and I think what you're saying is like, how do we diversify, right? How do we become more organic with our business, right? And so we were also growing a family at the time. I was pregnant with Henry, and our second child, and we decided to move in with Keller Williams and learn the business model and take on like that team building concept, right? And I learned a lot, and I wish I would have started that there to begin with because I learned so much in very little time. And so we grew our organic business. That's really our focus right now. It has been for the last 5 years, is helping the residential buyer seller. And we spent 8 years there, and I'm really proud of that. And now we're back to being a boutique broker and no longer expanding. I'm just head down focused on the client and our family.
You guys have both talking about building up Lucy's business and building, obviously on our side, the SFR side, you were going to different markets, helping expansion and doing, really driving that. How were you guys able, as you, Gabe, were focused on entering new markets, expansion, acquisitions, and really driving renovations and project management? You had a lot on your plate as we were really growing ground level SFR, right from the very beginning and going into these different states. While Lucy, you were also getting your broker's license and, building a team under Keller Williams and really starting to grow your, sales and role within real estate. How were you guys able to navigate, both of you guys kind of growing your businesses, but also you said you were having your second child. How were you guys able to balance that personally as you guys were both building professionally?
So I was really amazed to see how Lucy grew after joining Keller Williams. And there was quite a few things that she learned and brought back to the family that were game changers for us. Not only did she learn more of the nuances and technical side of representing individual home owners, she also really learned the concept and power of leverage. And what we mean by that is she really began to understand what her time was worth. And that meant she immediately hired a coordinator to handle the busy work. She started recruiting agents to handle more showings. We hired housekeepers and au pairs to handle our domestic chores, which was a radical change for Lucy. Growing up in a Mexican family, very frugal, where you just work harder and you do more. For her to let go of those things and understand what her time was worth was game changing for her personal growth, what we could do as a family. And pretty soon she was looking at everything through the idea of how much time or what could I be doing with my time instead of doing these things. And it was probably the most valuable lesson that I think we took from Keller Williams. What do you think, Lucy?
I forgot about that big voiced. I did. I forgot about how difficult that was. And then once I, measured my time, it just made so much sense. And then we brought in an au pair as soon as we had our second child. And that was, I think, I don't know, I don't want to say it was hard for my family, but I think that, it kind of was just different mindset, right? It just really reinforced like, yeah, she's married to a gringo. and and it was I love that. I missed that season. I loved that season. I wish, I just, time's moving so fast. But yes, Gabe, thanks for reminding me that was a very valuable lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for the audience that may not be familiar with what an au pair is, and so an au pair is like a live-in nanny that comes from a different country that's on a 2-year visa called a J1, and they're there to help you with your domestic challenges, helping with the kids and maybe some light housekeeping, but mostly nanny work. And you're there to help provide them a cultural experience and really plug into the US and help them with their language development and everything else. And going into this at first, there was maybe some skepticism from both of our families, like, hey, someone else is going to be raising your kids. How could you do this? But the reality is it gave us so much more quality time with our kids. Like with the time we got to spend with them, it wasn't trying to do all of their laundry and get it put away and like chasing dishes or all the other little things that when you're a parent really add up. It was, hey, we're all together. It's after school. Let's cook dinner together. Let's really enjoy each other's company. And so I would recommend to anyone who's on the fence about getting an au pair to absolutely do that.
Yeah, I'm sure Adriana would have loved to have an au pair when she went back to have Isaac and Adrian, right? We talked about that as, she had to take her feet off the gas professionally because she focused on having the boys and being there for the boys. And that allowed me to put my foot on the gas professionally. But, I, like you, was gone all the time. And when I, in hindsight, thinking about it and hearing your experience of it, man, what if we would have gotten an au pair? And then that would have allowed us to keep both feet on the gas while spending more time, quality time. And I think that's something that we realize as well, especially as we get older. Lucy, you were just saying, man, time goes by so quickly that those moments of quality time and being able to maximize those with our children and with our spouses is ultimately most important.
Yeah, and for us, we timed it just right. We actually were able to secure our second au pair right at the start of COVID.
Oh, wow.
And that was game changing. At that point, we had 2 kids and we were working almost on our third, and to have help during COVID when the kids aren't at school and everything else, that really made COVID a lot more productive and fun for us.
Yeah, I bet. And so in terms of the household, what else has, helped you guys as you navigate, your both professions and raising the kids and, your personal goals? Like, what are the things that you guys have implemented, within your relationship or outside that have made you efficient and as successful as you are today?
I love my calendar block. I love my planner.
You got a planner?
Always.
Yeah.
Always. Gabe, I wish would get on board with this, but like, you got to know where you're going. You got to know where you got to be. I don't know. For me, I think I really push it on Gabe.
So on that note, a few things. One is through this development, we've understood and learned what each of us are good at, right? And I would say Lucy is amazing at organization and tracking the details. And me, I'm thinking bigger picture. I'm taking more risk. And through different seasons of our relationship and careers, that's really given us the opportunity to take some risk and do some interesting things. Once Lucy's brokerage really started to thrive, I was able to go to work for a tech startup, in essence, and lead business development for a company that had really just started, that had very little revenue. And I was able to spend almost 6 years with that company, starting from kind of a vestige of a product to going all the way through Series A and going through a separation with them that worked out really well. And it was an amazing time to be able to build that. But in the beginning, I was making like no money. And if it wasn't for Lucy doing what she was doing and providing that stability, I never would have been able to take that risk. And so with any professional couple, if one can allow the other to do more entrepreneurial things, I think that can be just such a great opportunity and magic, you know? And you guys have had something similar, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, we've had moments where she's been the one pushing the gas, and I've been the one on the other side, like, all right, let me tinker around and figure out what we could do. And then it's been opposite as well. When she went back to law school, then it was like, all right, I gotta put my head down, pick all these kids up, throw them on my back, and then keep moving. But yeah, I think it is the part of the partnership of understanding and finding each other's yin and yang and being able to work around our strengths and weaknesses and talk through those as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I
Yeah.
think that that concept though of there's one that's usually a visionary and one that's kind of more of a risk taker and is able to kind of act and be fearless. And then there's always like the other one that's a little bit more cautious, a little bit more realistic, and hey, how are we going to do this? How are we going to figure this all out together? And so I think that there's a lot of parallels between, Lucy and you, Gabe, and Roberto and I, where I definitely am the one that's the calendar blocker and let me, plan out our days and let's, get organized around our goals and whatnot. And Roberto's like, let's just go with the flow and we'll figure it out. And don't you want to chase this idea or chase this dream? And I'm like, yes, I do. But we also need to be able to, have some structure or organization around it. But I do think that that's what kind of has allowed us to be successful. And I think it feels like that's the same with you guys, that you guys have been able to kind of balance the two out together and be able to kind of give and take a little bit where, Lucy, maybe you're holding on a little bit more of the obligations while Gabe, you're able to kind of be a little more free and vice versa, right? You guys have been able to balance that out between the two of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, a good illustration of that dynamic is I love to cook and Lucy does not. And so she doesn't like to take a risk of trying something new to make something that people aren't going to like, right? And I do. So I love to cook, but Lucy likes to clean. So I can come in, get creative, make a big mess, and Lucy can come behind me, and she likes to turn the kitchen and clean it up after me. So it's kind of like everybody wins there, We get to have that creative upside and take some chances, but at the end, we can still survive together.
And most importantly, she gets to enjoy the food that you get to make all the time.
And with that, there's bad meals too, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the worst meal that you made? Or Lucy, what's the worst meal he's made?
I don't think there is a worst meal you've made. I really don't. You can ask the kids and they would give you something of a response. But no, everything you cook is like culinary level. Like that really is like the best, like the best exchange of my weakness, your strength, my strength. Yes, I'm a really good cleaner. I like to tidy, and you're really good at making messes. So, but yeah, I don't like cooking. That's weird, huh? Because I'm so Mexican. Don't like cooking at all. So
I know that you guys had also talked about, balancing the kids. And I know that we had earlier conversation around the way that you guys have been able to really, have that kind of social aspect and be able to also chase, personal aspirations, is to kind of build community and have people around you that you guys can connect with and be able to just kind of, you guys have built a really strong relationships with your neighbors through church, through your, families of your kids. And that you said previously had really helped you guys thrive in being able to, have those connections. Can you talk about, you guys have done an incredible job, I think. I see you guys always posting online and, Lucy, you have women's groups and Bible studies, and I know you do a lot with your community outside of just, obviously your real estate sales. Can you talk to us more about why that's so important to you guys and how that's kind of contributed to your relationship and the foundation for your kids?
Certainly. I think it started actually joining a community group. Remember, Gabe? Like, we were newlyweds at Seven City, and we joined Bible study. And so we were with young families that were in our season of life. And I was pregnant with our first child. And the power of prayers I really experienced because we had our first child premature, like 7 weeks early. And I think that is really where I felt community being such a strong pillar. And then from there, it just kind of became easier to build community within neighbors, because we had also just moved into our home, right? And so we built community with our neighbors. And then we launched our own community group. Gabe, you want to take lead on what that looks like?
Yeah, I would say just several things we did to grow the community after we moved into our neighborhood, which was about 12 years ago from now, right? First, the community didn't have a Facebook page, and we created a Facebook page for the community, and then invited everybody as just a place to, ask questions or get to know each other and share interesting information about the neighborhood. And then we kind of had to mediate that a little bit to keep it from being like a bitch forum, for people being upset about one thing or another, and once we got that under control, then people became a lot more comfortable in getting to know us, or just more receptive to our outreach, and then organizing events like little just community gatherings and neighbor night out and things like that, where we just got to meet each other face to face. And then soon we started our own community group through our church, which wasn't exactly focused for our neighborhood. And I started inviting more of our neighbors to come join us for our community group. And what that looks like is we would do it on Wednesday nights, and I would cook dinner for everybody. And everyone comes over and we eat dinner and socialize for about 45 minutes. And then we'll either discuss a book or watch maybe a 15-20 minute teaching video that's Christ-centered, and then discuss it for another 30 minutes, and then have like a prayer time for another 15 minutes or 20 minutes after that, and then send everyone home. Well, it started with maybe 12 people, and 10 of them were from our church, to 50-50. Half of them were from our neighborhood that didn't even go to our church, to pretty soon we had 12 to 15 people there, and they all were in our neighborhood, and none of them were from our church. And through that, we got to build some really deep friendships. And through those 12 years as well, their families changed, where at first it was just a young couple to now 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids. And now we could easily have 20 people over at our house, and 12 of them are kids. You know what I mean? Because our neighborhood has just grown in that way. And so Lucy has always been a great connector there, and amazing friend to the moms. I think it's almost more meaningful a lot of times for the moms to have other moms that are going through that same life stage, and having a friend that they can count on. And it got to the point where Lucy was like supporting so many women that she even started acting as a connector and saying, I think you two should go and explore this interest that you have in common together. And not only has it increased our own richness of life and the deep, meaningful friendships that we built. But it's also been very good for business too, because it's an authentic way to do business development.
Yeah. I mean, I think community is definitely something that we've lost more touch with, or need more within our lives. I know a lot of people, especially in today's world where social media really takes front is front and center. The connections that you build with your neighbors and your neighborhood, and I know that's a big part of the focus, kind of bringing it back to the SFR world, is how you're creating those communities of residents and individuals that feel connection with the people that they're with. And you guys have obviously presented that, and have done that in a good manner over the course of the last 12 years that you've been, and probably throughout your life as you've been here.
Do you think that's a Texas thing or a Southern thing? Like, could you see something like that happening out in California?
I can, but it takes more effort. People are more in their own world here in California, very, very individualized. Where I think going to your neighborhood, hanging out in your yard and seeing people come by and just waving hi, and everyone by first name. That's not really a thing too much anymore. At least not in our neighborhood. The four people that are in your right here in our cul-de-sac. But other than that, I think, taking your lead, we're going to have to create a Facebook page. We're going to have to start inviting people. We're going to have to start building that community again, and bringing those ties back, because it's definitely something that we lack. And Adrian and I were just talking about it on Sunday as we left this new parish that we went to, and really felt that again. Like, you felt the community and the service and the light and the life that comes from that we hadn't felt, and we've been out of touch with for some time now. So I think it's definitely necessary for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll share that it's not always easy to do that. Like, if you're going to commit to host a community group for 6 weeks, right? And it's Wednesday morning and you're midweek and you're tired and you're thinking, man, I'm going to have 20 people over tonight and I've got to cook for them. And then I got to be on, right, and engaged. And I've got to clean up after them once they leave. Lucy's like, can we just cancel tonight? Or I don't want to do this. And I say, no, babe, we're going to do it. Right. And then every time at the end, like Wednesday night, once we get the last person out the door and we kind of breathe a sigh of relief, we're like, man, that was good. That was meaningful. That was worth it. And I don't think we've ever had an evening where we said, we're not doing this anymore. It was always the anticipation was, or the hesitation that was in the anticipation was always overcome by the joy that you get in spending quality time and dwelling in Christ with your community.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And being cognizant of time, I understand that, we've talked about how we all started together in SFR world, how you all got together, and your kind of, your journey to today. And, ultimately, while we're building businesses, while we're raising our families, while we're chasing our own personal dreams, at the end of the day, it's the foundation of, me and Adriana and you and Lucy and Gabe, coming back to the foundation. What are the things that you guys have done in terms of reconnecting and making sure that that's always at the focus to carry on, right? Because at the end of the day, when things get hard, you lean on each other. But are there practices that you put in place throughout the course of the year? Other than on your anniversary, you show out very well for her, I'm sure, and Valentine's Day. What other things do you guys do to lift each other up and to build?
Yeah, let me answer this.
Don't say it. Don't embarrass me.
We don't celebrate Valentine's or things like that. I mean, Gabe forgets my birthday.
I was really sick. All right.
Nice. That's good stuff.
I was sick and I was traveling. I was like near death. So
Hey, I say it because I say that because honestly, that's not it didn't matter to me. It did not matter to me. I had plenty of girlfriends and friends wishing me birthday wishes. It's just, we don't stop dating, right? Like Gabe and I really don't step out much, really. Like if we had an au pair, we would do it weekly. Or if we have his parents in town. But I don't know, we just hang out. Like when the kids go to bed, we hang out. We do Bible devotionals. We've fallen off, but praying for each other every morning. That's super important. I don't know. I feel very in sync. I don't feel like missing a birthday is a big deal. I just like to tease you.
Yeah, I think with any relationship, it goes through waves of times you feel really connected and times where it's not that important for you to feel really connected, and then sometimes where you miss it, right? And you feel like there is a disconnect. And I can say something that's been very effective for us is times where we may not feel completely connected is waking up early and going on a walk together before the kids get up, right? First thing in the morning at sunrise, go walk a mile, it'll take you 25 minutes, and come back, and you just have that time where there's no tech, there's nothing else to do but just walk and talk, right? And that is extraordinary how that can put you back in sync. And the other is pray together. And for many couples, that seems terrifying to hold your spouse's hand and pray out loud together and bring your concerns and your needs and everything else to God and verbalize that. But if you can do that, if you can get over that initial awkwardness, man, it really ramps up the intimacy in your relationship. No doubt about it. And maybe a way to get into that is first starting just a basic Bible study. If you've got the Bible app, right? Every day it has a daily devotional. It takes about 8 minutes. And it's really easy to do that devotional together. We'll take turns as today you're reading, today I'm reading, and then end that devotional with just a short prayer. And that's a great way where it's so easy. You don't have to even think about it. It's always there in your hand. And then you can build on that to do even more together and engage God in different ways. And that just goes so hand in hand. The more that you pursue God together, the more that it brings you in sync with your spouse, the more joy it brings to your family, the better parents that it makes you, and the way that it increases intimacy is very profound.
I think that that's why I've really enjoyed the time that I've spent with you and Lucy, is that there is no it's not high maintenance love. It's a very authentic, genuine, we really care about each other. It's not about all of the look at all the gifts or these things that I'm getting, but it's always just been a very, appreciating, caring, true kind of respect and love for each other. And I think that, like you said, a simple walk, going on a walk, spending that time just to connect, to pray together, just to have those kind of simple moments. I think that sometimes people get really caught up on I need to have this very fancy, expensive dinner, or, we need to celebrate Valentine's Day or anniversary and have it be this over the top thing. But all of that stuff is not important if there's no true connection. And what you were saying, that true intimacy of it's just you and I, there's not any of this other noise. And so that I think that, I think we've connected with you guys in that way because it's always been very real and genuine, and it's never this kind of pretentious, you have to be something that you're not. And so I really respect that. I think those are really simple things that people take for granted.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah.
Thank you. That's got to be the greatest compliment. Thank you.
Yeah.
And
Authenticity for sure, and the communication, right? I think you and I, Gabe, have always had open dialogue. Probably making Lucy a little uncomfortable at some points. Just around all things, and being able to have these conversations and talk about what works and what doesn't, and being very honest around challenges that we've had. I think that open communication and, like you said, the walks that we've had in the morning have given us the space to have that conversation that does act like a prayer, because you're speaking it out loud. You're talking about the things that you're navigating. It makes it easier for you to, hit the next roadblock and then overcome that. And so I see a lot of consistency in that. That's why I appreciate the relationship that we built over the years.
Yeah, I tell you what, I look at what you guys have built and I think, man, we had it pretty easy. We, Lucy and I, we met a little later in life. I was 35, she was 27, right? And I was already moving along in my career, and then we had children. It was somewhat comfortable for us. You two got married when you were or started dating when you were teenagers, right? And had kids young and built a big family young. And then you didn't stop there. You basically always look to grow. I mean, Adriana, Roberto, you were going through law school when I met you, or you just finished. And then Adriana, you went through law school in your 30s, which is crazy, right? I mean, to be able to just have 4 kids, a great relationship, always pushing your careers, and then also continue to, in some way, carve out time for pretty ambitious personal growth has been just really admirable. And I don't know how y'all do it.
One foot in front of the other, right? And I think that's what we all see, is that we there's a lot of challenges, there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of effort, there's a lot of that stuff in the back that we're talking about in some regard here, but we were able to navigate it, and these things that we've implemented together as a couple and as a community are the things that help us be able to continue to do so on a daily basis.
Yeah, y'all got it going on.
All right, so I have a few questions to end the interview, and it's a little bit of a mix of some personal, business, a little bit of it all. Who made the first move?
Gabe.
Oh yeah,
Easy.
I came with it strong.
Who is more spontaneous?
Gabe. I'm the responsible one.
Definitely. Lucy will plan a vacation a year in advance. Yeah, she's a planner. No doubt.
Who is the better communicator?
Gosh, I would say Gabe is a really good communicator. I just like to say I'm better at delivering the news. But yeah, Gabe's definitely the better communicator.
I may be more charismatic, but Lucy is, people find her very relatable. They're very comfortable telling Lucy all their secrets, and she does a great job in also presenting, very information that's important very concisely.
Who stays calmer under pressure?
I do.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Lucy's a rock.
I've worked with Gabe for long enough. I know where his levels are.
Yeah. No, Lucy's amazing. She's just made of different stuff. She's ice water in her veins.
Always, you are always so very calm and collected at all times, Lucy.
And she manages really difficult emotional situations through these real estate transactions all the time, right? And that could really rattle you. A lot of agents, they can't handle that, and Lucy is just such a pro there.
Oh yeah, definitely. Your retail buyers and sellers it's a different animal, dealing with the emotions of buyers and sellers for sure. Who is the fun parent?
we're fun in different ways. You know? Gabe's more sporty. He's more fun fact filled. So kids really appreciate fun facts, right? And he's good at teaching hobbies. But kids love candy. So I'm like, did you have your vegetable today? Sure. Do you want to sleep with me tonight? Okay.
To Lucy's credit, our youngest daughter, might as well not even be at the house when Lucy's around. Like she will not even wants nothing to do with me. But the second Lucy leaves, then she's like, "Oh, Daddy, let's do stuff," you know. So she's definitely the more interesting and fun parent for the younger kid.
All right, last one. Who gives better advice?
Gabe gives practical advice.
I would say Lucy gives better advice. I think. I don't know. It depends what it is. I think if it's, I have a lot more experience. You know, I'm a little older, and if I've done a lot of things. You know, I've probably had 20 different jobs, and I've lived in 20 different cities, and all
You've
of
done
that.
a
So
lot, right?
I've taken a lot of lumps. You know, and so I think from that standpoint, I probably can give better advice.
Thank you guys very much for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you in Dallas sometime soon, or here in the Bay Area when you guys coming out. You guys got to make your way out.
I know it's
We'd
been
like to see you on Texas. But no,
Yeah.
we do.
Well,
Oh, yeah. We haven't been to California in a while. So you're right. We probably do. Oh,
So Napa
visit.
time, Napa or Paso Robles.
I would definitely go to Paso again with you guys. That was so much fun last time. I think
Yeah,
that would be the way to go.
let's do it.
Well, we're honored to be your first guests.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you guys.
Bye. Thanks for having us.
Appreciate
It was
it.
so much fun. Bye.